Hello students. So in this video we will be discussing important MCQs on the cost management for AWS certification for Solution Architect. The first question asked is, a company is migrating its infrastructure to AWS and wants to optimize the cost for their EC2 instances which are running 24/7. Consider the company's predictable workload. Which of the following would you suggest for the most significant cost saving? Right, so the company is migrating their infrastructure to AWS, right, and they want to optimize the cost for EC2 instances. Now tell me, so right option here becomes, if we look at the options, they will be using the reserved instances, right? We know because if we are providing the reserved instances, there can be a discount of up to 75% for on-demand resources, right? Say for example, we are going for the on-demand resources, then and we are going for the reserved instances, so the difference in them will be almost 75. This reserved instances for 3 years will be more cheap, that will be 75% discounted, correct? Then right option here is option B, correct? And we have seen that reserved instances, they are ideal for the predictable workload as they can be committed for a long period of 3 years, and AWS also provides flexibility to change the instance type or also cancel the reservation. Next is, a company is running a stateless web application on AWS and wants to optimize the cost by leveraging the unused EC2 capacity. Which AWS pricing model would be the best cost optimization for this workload? So for this, the best will be which? Now your focus should be on this stateless web application, right? And the best thing that is used for the stateless workloads or flexible scheduling will be your spot instances. These spot instances, they will be providing up to 90% discount on demand resources, right? That means on the on demand prices, you will be having up to 90% discounts on these spot instances, right? Also, this spot instances, it can be integrated with the AWS auto scaling. That means if the demand increases, then with the help of this auto scaling, you will be able to allocate more resources. As well as this spot instances, this will be using, or it will be supporting the cost optimization. Next, a company wants to set budget for their AWS expenses and receive the alerts when the cost exceeded the budget amount. Which AWS service will support this requirement? Tell me. So what we are doing is that we are making sure that the amount that we have set does not go beyond that. So for that, AWS budgets will be used here, right? This AWS budget, this will enable setting the right budgets for our AWS expenses. This will help us to track our cost and also will provide the alert when we are about to reach that amount and if it goes beyond that amount, correct? This will be integrated with AWS Cost Explorer, correct, for detailed reports, right? This AWS Cost Explorer will give us the detailed reports that where we are spending that amount, which instances, which resources, which services are being used by us, for how long, and what are the price for that, correct? And also this will give us the alerts for price overrun. That means if we go beyond the amount specified here, it will alert us. So AWS budget. Next, a company is using AWS for disaster recovery and wants to optimize the cost for its infrequently used resources. Which AWS pricing model would you provide the best cost optimization for this workload? So we are, what you can see here, focus on the disaster recovery and optimize the cost for infrequently used resources, right? So what should be used here? Here we will be seeing that what should be used so that we make sure that the cost is optimized properly, because there are multiple resources that are not being used on daily basis or they are being used infrequently. So for that, what should be the best way to go ahead? So the best way to go through is pay as you go, right? This pay as you go pricing charges will be based on the actual usage, right? Because we are seeing that there will be infrequently used resources, right? So with this pay as you go, the amount of resources will be reduced and you will pay as per the actual use. right? There will be no commitment, no upfront commitment or termination fees will be there. Also, this will provide us the flexibility of scaling up or scaling down. And this pay as you go is the best way for the unpredictable workloads, or we can say for the variable usage. This is the best cost optimization. Next, a company wants to optimize their AWS cost by right sizing the instances and need recommendations on the instance optimization. Which AWS tool will support this requirement? So we are talking about cost, we are talking about the right sizing of the instances and instance optimization. Correct? So which is the best thing for this? It is, which AWS tool is the best? It is AWS Compute Optimizer, right? This will provide recommendation on the instance optimization, right? That how can we optimize our instances. This will analyze the resources utilization and provide the right sizing suggestions, that what are the best ways to use those instances, how many instances will be required. Correct? This will integrate with AWS Cost Explorer for the detailed reports, and this will also support your cost optimization. So AWS Cloud Optimizer will give us about the how recommendation about the instance optimization. Next, a company is using AWS for big data analytics and wants to optimize the cost for its data storage. Which AWS service would provide the best cost optimization for this workload? So as I saying that we are talking about big data analytics and they want to optimize their cost. Also, the AWS service that will be used for cost optimization here will be best. Correct? So AWS for big data analytics. Correct? So we can say the right option here is AWS or Amazon Glacier. Right? This will provide us with the low cost archiving. Right? This will be best for the infrequent accessed data, right? And also it will integrate with AWS S3 for data lifecycle management, and it will also support cost optimization, right? So this is your Amazon Glacier. Correct? It will be best for big data analytics and it will optimize the cost for the data storage and also will provide the best cost optimization for our workload. Next is, a company wants to consolidate cost across multiple AWS accounts and needs centralized management. Which AWS service will support this? See, consolidate the cost across multiple AWS accounts, right? So all the cost that has been accumulated over multiple AWS accounts will be consolidated using which AWS tool or service? So the right option is, because we will be organizing everything, AWS organizations, right? This will enable the consolidated billing. This will enable consolidated billing. This will support your cost tracking. You will be able to track your cost on various accounts. It will also integrate with AWS Cost Explorer and will also provide the centralized management. Next, a company is using AWS Lambda for serverless computing and wants to optimize your cost. Which AWS pricing model applies to AWS Lambda? So for AWS Lambda, pay as you go, right? We will be using the serverless computing here, right? So pay as you go will be the best for the actual usage. There will be no upfront commitment here or any termination fees. It will be suitable for the unpredictable workloads or variables and also will provide the flexibility for your scaling up or scaling down, right? So company using AWS Lambda for serverless computing wants to optimize cost. Which AWS pricing model applies to AWS Lambda? Pay as you go applies to AWS Lambda. Remember this important and interesting question, right? So that's all for the day, students. These were your important questions related to your AWS Solution Architect. Stay tuned with us for multiple such videos that will be helping you in your preparation.